Welcome back to the channel. This is going to be my Bleach Core 3 Episode 27 review and recap. I'm your host Ab-Stract, and this is the Ab-Stract section. The highlight of this recap is going to mainly focus on Uryu vs Senjumaru and the Almighty vs Ichibei. Let's get started. Episode 27 picks up pretty much from where we left off on episode 26 of Core 2. The Squad Zero members sacrifice themselves so Senjumaru can release the full might of her Zanpakuto, and she defeats all of them using her Bankai, while Ichibei bestows upon Yhwach a new name, that of the Ant King, crushing him and stomping him out of the royal palace. Moving on to the new content, as Yhwach is falling, he says to himself that he never expected that even with his eyes closed that he could see such a distant future. This tells us that he may not have had everything figured out, but he had a pretty good idea of how things would unfold and what the result of that would be, because now his eyes are open. We see Yhwach gain 2 irises, and seemingly the Stern Ritter get a power boost as well. This is most likely because they are all connected via the blood ritual, so an increase in power for Yhwach means an increase in power for them. As Yhwach returns to the palace, he immediately conjures a sword of Reishi and pierces through Ichibei. Now, interestingly enough, he chose to go with the Reishi sword and not the one he was first using to fight against Ichibei. I wonder if the Reishi one is stronger, or does this signify Yhwach is taking the fight more seriously? Now, shout out to the staff behind this because they did this beautifully. While Ichibei is questioning why Yhwach is alive, we see the characters Ichibei inscribed on Yhwach start disappearing, and then a flash of gray signifying either the use or activation of Yhwach's ability, the Almighty. Yugrim goes on to explain that Yhwach fights with his eyes closed not because he underestimates his opponents, but because if he were to open them before a certain time, he would lose control of his power. Now, while Yhwach is absolutely styling on Ichibei, he also goes on to say His Majesty can see through the future and know what will happen. But that's just basic observation hockey, right? Nah, when Yhwach sees the future, any ability he saw cannot work against him, hence why he got his identity back and Ichibei's Bankai no longer affected him. Getting into Uryu vs Senjumaru, this was just amazing and fantastic to see. Uryu's stock went way up, and there's just a lot of things going on, but pay attention guys, because you won't be hearing another breakdown like this from any other YouTuber. Let's get into it. As Uryu is face to face with Senjumaru, the first thing he does after being freed is draw his bow. Now you may be thinking that would be the most logical thing to do in this situation, and you're right, but the reason he did it was to keep her at bay long enough for him to activate his shrift, the Antithesis. Let me explain how I perceive Uryu's ability to work and what exactly happened in this fight with Senjumaru. Uryu's ability allows him to reverse events that have already taken place between 2 designated points. That means between point A to point B, he can reverse any and all things that occurred between them. Now, we see something we've never seen before from Uryu, and that is the red glowing eyes. I believe this was the activation of the Antithesis, marking where point A would start from. Keep a pin on this because we're going to come back to it. Then we have the actual fight, and this was short-lived, but it was amazing nonetheless. Uryu was able to keep up extremely well in a Squad Zero member's Bankai, shooting down all of Senjumaru's advances at every turn and not even feeling worried. And even when he was caught off guard by something like, say for the lava, his bloot is to such a level where it essentially did no damage to his face or legs, and Senjumaru is absolutely ridiculous. We see she's able to conjure fire, lava, lightning, ice, even hollows. And as well as Uryu was doing, he does end up getting overwhelmed by her and ends up getting stabbed in the back of the neck. Now, the next time we see them, Uryu is free and is in a pseudo holy form. He tells Senjumaru she's been caught by her own Bankai and shoots an arrow through her chest, ending her life. But in between all of that, did you guys notice anything weird? I did. Let's take a look at this dialogue. Senjumaru says, "So this is the power of a Stern Ritter? Have you gone mad? To think you could dodge my Bankai?" Then Uryu cuts her off saying, "You're talking nonsense. Your Bankai has now caught you." Then shoots her with the arrow. Now let's put this in the full context. Senjumaru has been fighting Uryu the entire time, and she understands how capable he is. So why would she then say, "So this is the power of a Ritter"? Like she hasn't been fighting him this whole time. And then she asks him if he's gone mad thinking he can dodge her Bankai, but that's exactly what Uryu's been doing this entire time. So why is Senjumaru supposedly so confused and saying these weird things? I'll tell you. The Senjumaru that said these things isn't the Senjumaru that was fighting Uryu.
What the hell?
Remember when his eyes turned red when Uryu first got free from the cloth? I said back then that this was him setting a marker in time and activating the antithesis. And in the time he was fighting with her, he chose to reverse two things. The first thing he chose to reverse was Senjumaru of the past with the Senjumaru of the present. Almost like shifting consciousness, what took place was a change she would never notice. The second and obvious thing he switched was getting trapped by her tapestry. Now, why was Senjumaru unable to not only free herself but realize she had been trapped in the first place? I'll tell you this. Uryu's power is reversing past events between two designated points. He was undoubtedly trapped by her cloth in the past, so if he's reversing this fate, nothing can stop Senjumaru from also being caught in her own tapestry present. The reason why she couldn't get free is more than likely because of the overwhelming shock that she must have felt from being tied up by her own bankai. This was a very good showing for Uryu, and I'm very happy in the direction things are headed with him and his powers. Senjumaru's defeat was executed very nicely, and because Uryu got an imp from Yhwach, this makes him beating her all the more justifiable. And as we've seen, she's still a very dangerous threat and a hard night for most of your favorite anime. In fact, even though all the Quincy likely got boosted when Yhwach got his Almighty, none of them were strong enough to escape the spaces she put them in. Circling back to Yhwach vs Ichibei, I'm not certain if when he's using the Almighty is he just dodging all of Ichibei's attacks due to precog, or if he is actively altering the future, sifting through the grains of sand that represent possibility. Personally, I'm of the opinion of the latter. I think every time Ichibei is moving, Yhwach is just jumping to a different grain of sand for where he would be, but I definitely see the counter argument to where you can say, oh well, we see his cape move, so he's obviously dodging, or you see that little flash of thing, he just dodged there, it's not actually he's jumping futures. And maybe they didn't choose to reveal that yet, but I'm just saying it could be a possibility. Finishing up the episode, we see the Walk of God as Yhwach uses Sclave Rai to make the palace his stepping stone to get to the top. See, most Quincy use Sclave Rai to get stronger or boost themselves. Yhwach don't need that, because he is that. We then cut to Ichigo and friends arriving at the Soul Palace, and we see Ichibei's dismembered body, and right on cue, Urihime is already on the healing, right? She don't gotta be told what to do, she know what to do. Ichigo calls out the monk's name and he is revived. After that, we cut to Shinsui about to meet with the GOAT himself, Mr. Immortal, Daddy Aizen. His comeback might actually give me a heart attack. Lastly, we see Yhwach, the new king, standing before his father, the old king, as he thrusts his sword in his crystal and through his body. Wow, what an amazing first episode. I heard a lot of things on Twitter about, oh, they use half the episode as a recap. They could have just gone right into the action. Shut up, yo, shut up. Y'all was slicing it up, y'all was hyping it up. All they did was literally pick it up from episode 26. All she did was use her bankai and Yhwach got stomped out. Y'all made it seem like at least 15 minutes of the freaking new episode was going to be a recap. Y'all gotta stop with that because it's giving a bad impression for the whole series overall. So just stop at that. Now, what can we expect going forward? I'll give you guys what I want. Here is what Ab-Stract wants for Bleach Core 3 going forward, right? First and most foremost, get Aizen out of that chair. He needs to get back into the action. He needs to slap somebody. Where's Momo at? Someone find Momo, okay? We need to find Momo and Aizen, get them together, get them talking. Secondly, you guys don't know this, but Ikkaku is one of my favorite Soul Reapers. So when I heard that they were going to be focusing on Ikkaku, Yugrum, who is still on Fraud Watch, because he ain't do nothing in Senjumaru, that was all Uryu, and whoever else they were focusing on, I got so hyped because I want to see Hozukimaru. I want to see Ryomon Hozukimaru in its full form and its full beauty, right? That's what we can expect. Also, guys, you don't know this. I'm a Chad stan. I like Chad. I think he's a cool guy. Brazo derecho deligante. Brazo es skill de diablo. I like all that stuff. So give Chad a solid fight. Let him get out there. Let him show he's more than what he's been showing. Let him show he has more capabilities than what he's displayed. His last freaking encounter was what, Noe Tora? Or no, fighting with Yami, I guess, when they were all in Waco Mundo? Yeah, no, get Chad out there. Let him do something productive with his life. But man, oh man, this was such a great first episode. I'm super excited, guys. You can expect a recap like this or a review like this once a week. Hopefully I can get the videos edited out in time before the next one though. Lastly, we don't know who Renji is fighting, but please do not make him a stepping stone for someone else. Please give Renji another dub. Mask was good, but we need our boy Renji to rack up them dubs. He's a jobber, right? People call him a jobber. I had to look that up. I don't know what a jobber is. I had to look it up. I don't know what it means. So whoever Renji is fighting, please let him do good. Don't paint him in a bad light. We out.